Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story about a massive digital transformation. It's a journey, really, from a clunky, rigid past to a future that's flexible, fast, and, well, intelligent. So, our story kicks off inside a company we're going to call FinanzenGnome AG. And deep down in their sub-basement, there's this humming digital beast, a classic, on-premises, monolithic data warehouse. You know the type. For years, it was their crown jewel. But, as we're about to see, it was also becoming their biggest obstacle.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's look at the limits of this old world and really get why that reliable old beast just couldn't keep up with the times.
On one side, you have the monolith. And look, it was reliable for sure, but it was also incredibly rigid and painfully slow. Its whole job was basically to report on what already happened. But the business? They didn't want to just stare in the rearview mirror anymore. They needed to be intelligent, flexible, fast. They wanted to start predicting the future, not just documenting the past. And the breaking point, it came with what the source material calls a catastrophic failure of imagination. See, they'd hired this brilliant, very expensive team of data scientists who were just stuck. They couldn't get the data they needed, they couldn't experiment, they couldn't build models. The business was basically paying for a Formula One car, but forcing them to drive it in first gear. It just wasn't working.
So this put FinanzenGnome at a huge crossroads. Do they take the safe route and just lift and shift their old monolith into the cloud? Or do they take a much bolder path and completely re-architect everything from the ground up? I mean, as one group argued, a monolith in the cloud is really just a more expensive monolith, right?
They chose the bolder path. And that meant before they could even whisper the letters A and I, they had to solve the most fundamental problem of all. You can't build a skyscraper on a swamp. So they started by pouring a foundation of pure, unshakable reliability. In the architectural keystone for this new foundation, it was an open standard called Delta Lake. And its promise was actually pretty simple, but totally revolutionary. Bring the strict, predictable reliability of a traditional database to the wild, flexible, and sometimes messy world of a data lake. So how does it do that? Well, it's powered by something called ACID transactions. Now, what that really means is, if a data pipeline fails halfway through, your data isn't left corrupted. It means different teams can work on the same data at the same time without tripping over each other. This isn't just some tech detail. It's what builds trust and prevents your beautiful new data lake from turning into the dreaded data swamp. Okay, so with that trust locked in, they organized their new data factory using what's called the Medallion Architecture. Think of it like this. Raw, messy data flows into the bronze layer. Then it gets cleaned, filtered, and validated in the silver layer to create a single source of truth. And finally, it's refined into beautiful business-ready gold tables that anyone in the company can use with confidence. So now they've got this awesome, reliable data factory. But that creates a brand new problem. A city full of new roads is great, but without traffic lights and street signs, you just get chaos. They needed to find a way to govern this new, sprawling data set. And that was the real risk here. Without some strong governance, their well-structured data factory could easily just evolve into a chaotic, free-for-all bazaar. They needed a control system that was just as dynamic and alive as the city itself. The solution for this was something called Unity Catalog. You can think of it as a single air traffic control tower for their entire data world. It gives them one central place to manage permissions, to secure data, and, this is huge, to track data lineage. So you can see exactly how a piece of data traveled, from the moment it came in raw, all the way to a final report. Okay, so governance is handled. What's the next beast to tame? Performance. Because in the cloud, poor performance isn't just about being slow. It's incredibly expensive. A single bad query can literally burn through your budget before you've even had your morning coffee. In this new world, efficiency is cost optimization. So their whole approach was to automate efficiency. These smart tools that could intelligently skip reading data they didn't need. They had a self-tuning engine called liquid clustering that's constantly reorganizing the data for max speed. They even used automated tools like BladeBridge to find old, inefficient code and convert it. It's all about working smarter, not harder. All right, the technology is humming along now. It's reliable, it's secure, it's cost-effective. But a perfect machine is totally useless if nobody wants to drive it.
And that brings us to the final, and let's be honest, often the most difficult challenge, winning over the people.
Because the final hurdle is almost never technical. It's human. The architects had built this incredible superhighway, but a lot of people were still taking the old, bumpy country roads. Not because they were better, but simply because they were familiar.
So they tackled this with a really smart change management program. It was this gentle but firm push. They simplified the user interface to make it easier to use, while at the same time setting clear deadlines for when the old dashboards would be retired. It was a clear signal. We are not going to live in two different worlds anymore.
And a key part of making this work was admitting that you can't move everything at once. That's where Lakehouse Federation became a total game changer. It let teams query data in their old systems directly from the new platform. This completely lowered the barrier to entry. People could get value right away without having to wait for some massive, painful migration project to finish. So all this foundational work, the reliability, the governance, the performance, the user adoption, it was all leading to this one moment. It was finally time to collect the jackpot, turning all of that beautifully managed data into true, actionable intelligence. And that moment was captured perfectly when a board member, you can just picture it, basically asked, okay, this is a very nice factory you've built, that's great. When does it actually start making us money? The entire project now had to answer that one simple question with real, measurable results. And this is how they answered. They turned the data platform into a legitimate AI factory. They started using Mosaic AI to industrialize how they develop models. They built curated feature stores with Lakeflow for reliable model inputs. And they even empowered their existing analysts to get in on the action using simple SQL scripting. And the result? The very first major product to roll off this new AI assembly line was a real-time fraud detection system. It was woven directly into the business processes, and in its very first quarter, it saved the company millions of dollars by catching fraud that the old, slow system completely missed. Now that's how you answer the board member's question.
You know, in the end, FinanzenGnome didn't just build a better data warehouse. They built a platform for inquiry. And the source material puts it perfectly. A perfect system isn't one that gives you all the answers. The truly great systems are the ones that empower all of us to ask better questions. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.